If you have ever made a pour over and this happens, then keep watching because I know what's going to solve your problem. The biggest challenge with coffee is that it's really difficult to get the same results back to back. One day you're a coffee king and one day you're a coffee pigeon. Okay, pigeons have their uses, never mind. Did you know that even the height at which you pour from your kettle can have an impact on the extraction of your coffee? Well, in this video, we're going to look at a machine that removes all of those variables for you and makes a delicious cup of coffee every single time. Sometimes a new product comes along and it changes how you think about something. This is the xBloom. And if you don't want to wait around till the end of the video to hear my thoughts on it, I'll tell you now, it's fantastic. But why is it fantastic? What makes this machine stand out from the rest? Okay, I know there's a lot of reviews out there on the xBloom already. I'm a little bit late to the game on this one. So instead of reviewing it, I'm just going to tell you why I think this machine is probably the best bang for buck when it comes to coffee, and just show you how simple it is to use and how fun it is to use. I guess in itself that is a review. If you have 599 euros in your budget, just buy this now. Do it, you won't regret it. Now, xBloom did send me this machine, no strings attached, in return for making this video. But they don't get to see it before you do, and as always, nothing is going to sway my opinion one way or another. I try to be as unbiased as I possibly can. That out of the way, what's this machine all about? In essence, it's an automated pod machine. Or perhaps more accurately, it's a fully automated pour-over machine. Now, where this really shines is how accurate it is, how streamlined it is, and how fun it is to use. Coffee is an absolute science with so many variables that it becomes absolutely infuriating when you don't get the same results back to back. Waste of beans, waste of paper, it's just a waste. Remember this guy? Ugh! So pour over with a V60 or whatever it is that you're using, it might seem really simple, but in reality there are so many variables to even making a simple pour over that can go really wrong. Like I said, even the height at which you pour water from your kettle can really impact the extraction. Never mind flow rates or how much water is coming out of your kettle. This machine removes all of those variables and does it for you. To give you a comparison in espresso terms, it's like moving from a manual lever machine where you have to control everything to going to something like the decent espresso machine where you program everything in beforehand, you press a button and the machine does it for you. This is simply game-changing. So the machine itself is made up of kind of three main elements. There's the grinder unit, which is hidden away in here. Yes, it does have a grinder. There's the scales, and then there's the brew unit. So each work together in unison based on predetermined recipes, meaning that the machine is going to do all the work for you and leave you with a delicious cup of coffee every single time. Now, before we get into the machine itself, you're probably thinking, wow, that sounds really cool, but it's probably really expensive. It's 600 euro. So let's break that down for a second, because while 600 euro is a lot of money, it's not when you kind of separate out each of the elements in this machine. Let's say, for example, you wanted to go for a completely manual setup, right? Now, you're going to need a few different things to complete that setup. Number one is going to be the dripper itself, right? Let's say you go for a V60 or something like that, right? That's maybe 30 or 40 or 50 euros, somewhere around that kind of mark. Then you're going to need a kettle, right? A proper gooseneck kettle for pour over. Now that's going to set you back. A decent kettle is going to be what, 150 euro? And then you're going to need a grinder. And if you go electric, maybe with the Fellow Ode, which is kind of the most standardized pour over grinder out there, you're looking at about 350 euro. And if you go for a manual hand crank grinder, you're looking at about 200 is, let's say maybe the ZP6 or something along those lines. So maybe 150 or 200 euros. So if you go for an electric grinder manual setup, you're over 500 euros already. And if you go for a hand grinder option like the ZP6, you're somewhere between 350 and 400 euro. So for 600 euro to have this all-in-one machine that's automated, removes all the variables, and also comes with a really snazzy app. Damn, that's impressive. Wait, how does it make coffee? This is confusing. I'm confused. You're confusing. Who are you? Let's take a step back. There are a few ways to make coffee with this machine. Number one is with coffee pods, but not like these silly little Nespresso pods. On the screen now, you'll see that these are xBloom developed NFC pods that contain fresh coffee beans direct from the roasters. The NFC tag at the bottom of the pod contains data in the form of a recipe, again direct from the roaster. The machine will read that NFC tag when you touch it on the top here. I'll explain in a minute why I don't actually have a pod. So you tap the pod on the top of the machine and the machine will load up the recipe that the roaster has predetermined for those specific beans. You empty the pod of coffee beans into the grinder, put the pod onto the machine, and away you go. The pod is your filter paper, the pod is your coffee beans. Press go and you're done. If you want quick and easy coffee like you've never tasted before, this is incredible. No thought needed whatsoever. Okay, yes, I don't have any of the pods because, well, it's a geographical thing. I'm based in Europe and they're not available in Europe yet. However, we still can use this machine with our own coffee beans. I have some lovely geisha coffee beans from Costa Rica, and I think what we should do is just make a coffee with it, and I can show you what it's all about. I mentioned that there are 3 elements to this machine. There's the brewer, the grinder, and the scale, and that they all work together, right? So all I need in this scenario is the coffee beans and a filter paper. Okay, so first up, let's use our scales, which is this entire drip tray. The whole thing is actually a scales underneath, which is great. Our catch cup here, which is for the grinder, which is magnetic, which is lovely. We've got our beans, and all we need to do is go into our scale menu. There's 3 buttons on the front. Very nice tactile buttons, by the way. They feel really nice to use. So the last button over here is our scales button. So we'll click that and we'll see that we are tared out. If we take that off, we go to minus. So we're tared out automatically, which is great. I already have 15 grams in this tube, but we're gonna weigh it out anyway because we're thorough people, us coffee nerds. Let's put them in. $15.1. Okay, that will do. That'll do. Okay, we've weighed out our beans. Next step is to put them in the grinder. Our grinder is hidden away at the top, so we've just got this little slide door, and then we can pour in our beans. Whoop. All right, beans in, door closed. What's next? Well, let's get our filter paper in. We'll take off our Omni dripper, which is it's just a lovely thing to use and hold. Pop in our filter paper. It does come with filter papers, which are very nice. It does also work with the Kalita Wave small filters, so perfect for that. And what I really like is this little ridge around the edge of the dripper so that I can't even get it out now. But basically, it's not going to go anywhere. The paper it's in there. And this is attached magnetically onto the machine. Okay, here is where the magic happens, because with the machine comes this card, and with this card, you can just tap. And that's going to show us, right, what our grind size is going to be, what our ratio is, and all we have to do is press play. Obviously, we just need a cup as well. So let's pop the cup there and press play. This is so cool! Now watch. God, it's so cool. Right, so it's come back across now, and it's pouring water. We have coffee. Not only that, look at how the spiral pattern the water is being poured in. And then it does this agitation thing. It just does it all for you. I love this thing. It just makes me feel good watching it do its thing. And like I said, it just sort of removes all of those variables. The height at which you pour your water, the pattern of which you pour your water. Everything's just done for you. Even the agitation. And the noises it makes as well are pretty satisfying. Obviously this card has a preloaded recipe onto it, and you can use the app. I'll go into the app in a minute, but you can go into the app and you can select from hundreds of predetermined recipes. You can even create your own recipes as well. And when I say recipes down to the dose of beans that you're using, the ratios you want, how much water comes out in each pour, whether you want agitation before or after each pour. It's completely customizable. So last pour now, right? We should get up to about 255. 255 exactly. It just knows. It just knows. I love this thing. And it beeps when it's done, and that's it. It shows you how much time it took, and then it shows you a nice little image of a hot coffee. Cheers. God, it's good. It's good. It's a very surreal thing watching it do its thing, because it's a robot essentially that makes amazing pour over coffee. Right, so an automated coffee experience. But it doesn't end there. For those of you who love to play with the parameters, like I said, you can create your own recipes. And actually, you can use all three elements of this machine as a standalone element. Okay, so first we've got the grinder. Yes, it will grind for espresso. It's a 38mm conical burr grinder, which grinds for espresso. In fact, if you flip open the lid, it actually gives you a little readout of espresso grind settings, AeroPress, pour over, and cold brew. If we go into our grinder menu, we can change around the grind size. We can change around the RPM of the motor, so anything from 60 up to 120. Very good. And then we hit play and it'll grind whatever's in there. If we go out of here and we go into our scale, of course you've got your tare button, you've got your weight display. Card weighs 5.8 grams, great. And in the middle, you've got your brew menu. So you can go in here and you can decide what pattern you want, whether it's just a straight out, whether you want a spiral, whether you want circular. You can decide what the water temperature is going to be, so we can go right up to boiling point, and we can even go right down then to room temperature, which is pretty big sliding scale there. But that's not everything this machine does. I said earlier that there's an app that goes along with it. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so we're in our app now, and there's three options, right? So we've got grinder, brewer, and scale. Kind of the same as what we've got on the machine itself, but obviously the app is going to allow you to change a lot more parameters. Just gives you a better UX experience, I guess. So if we go into grinder, first thing we've got again is our grind size. So here we can go all the way down to espresso or bring it up to cold brew, whichever you want. Then we've got grinder speed. So again, same sort of thing that's on the machine itself. Press play and you'll get ground coffee. And you can also see that in the top corner, you've got the little scale there as well. So the scale kind of repeats itself in different areas of the app, which is really nice. If we go back out of here then and we go to scales, obviously it's just a scale. So I can take this off, let's tear it out and then put something onto it. 5.7 grams. Let's put something else onto it. 44.5. Put something on the edges. I mean, it's always going to be within sort of 1/10 of a gram. We've got measurements in grams, ounces, or milliliters. So pretty standard there. And you've also got a timer, so you can start there and you've got a timer as well. And then if we go into Brewer, we've got the volume of the drink that you want out, the temperature, which you can bring right down to room temperature all the way up to boiling point. And then you can change your flow rate as well. So you can go down to 3 and all the way up to 3. I say all the way up to 3.5. That's not a very wide range, but it is what it is. We've got patterns then as well down the bottom. So we've got centered pattern, a circular pattern, or a spiral pattern. Now, where this app really shines is the recipes down at the bottom. So we can see there's a lot of trending recipes here, right? For different beans, different roast levels, different doses, different yields, different ratios. So we've got loads of different options here, but we can actually go in and really play with all of the parameters of this machine and create our own recipe. So if we try to create a recipe, just as an example here, right? We can decide whether we want the grinder on or off. We can choose our Omni dripper, because that's the one that I'm using now. Let's say we keep the dose at 15 grams. We've got coffee to water ratio is 1 to 15. We can choose our grind size, so we can go right down to, well, I mean, we're not going to go espresso because we're making pour over, but it'll give you a readout of where it kind of decides, okay, pour over is, that's the start of pour over now is 30. And it'll go right up to, give or take, around 55, right? So let's leave that in there, 47 for example. We can change our RPM, and then we can actually go in here and add our different pours. So I've decided that I want 225 mils of liquid out at the end, and the app is going to let me know what percentage I'm at for each different pour. So let's say, for example, right, I'm going to do 67 mils to start off with, at a temperature of 85, flow rate of 3.5, pausing for 5 seconds, and I've got my, let's say, spiral pattern to start off with, and we're going to do agitation before to level the beans and a bit of agitation afterwards. And then I can go in and add another pour. So for pour 2, let's say we're going to do, I don't know, let's say up to 170 mils. So this pour is worth 46% of our entire drink. Again, temperature 85, we can change that if you want. Let's bring it up maybe to 90 just for the sake of it. Again, 3.5, and maybe this time I want a circular pattern. Agitation on for before and agitation on for after. And now when I go in to add my last pour, we're just going to do 3 pours for this example. So if we overshoot our intended 225, it's not going to let me save it. It'll only let me save it at 225. So it'll go green, and that means that we've got 0 ml left to go. And this pour is 24% of our drink, right? So 55 mils. Same thing again, we can choose whatever parameters we want and hit save. Put in a name for your drink. I'm going to call it Nick because I am Nick. And if we scroll down, then we can choose our drink, hit start, and it's going to make that drink for us based on that recipe. Amazing. Yes, you can do it completely automated with the pods, but you can also go in and change all the parameters and really play around with different recipes. So if you're going to ask me who is this machine for, it's for everyone. It's for the person that wants a quick coffee in the morning without any thought and just tap your pod on the top or tap your card and away you go. And it's also for the coffee nerds out there that want to play with all the different parameters, all the different recipes, different doses, different grind speeds, different temperatures, different patterns, everything. There is a huge community of people that have xBlooms and that share recipes day in and day out. You can share your recipes, you can use other people's recipes. There's even a load of xBloom recipes in there as well. So how's the coffee? Well, it's incredible. Like I said, this machine removes the variables and does it right for you every single time. So if you're in the market for a coffee machine that's totally automated, makes excellent coffee, and is ridiculously underpriced, go for it. Don't tell xBloom that it's underpriced. Oh, and get their Aurea Sense glass as well. It's just such a lovely glass. If you want to get yourself an xBloom, go to www.xbloom.com/Nick. I'll leave that link down in the description. And if you are thinking of getting one of these, please do use that link. This video is not sponsored. I'm not getting paid to make this video. So if you do buy an xBloom with that link, it will help out this channel and it'll help me create more videos just like this one. So I guess it wouldn't be a proper overview video if I didn't tell you the things that I don't particularly like about this machine. It is plastic and the water tank is a little bit too small. That's it. I really like it. I like everything else about this machine. The Omni Dripper is lovely. The machine itself, it looks fantastic in my opinion. And it's just so fun to use. Hopefully you got something from this video, and I will be back with another video on the xBloom with a man versus machine debate as to which one is better. I'll pre-program a recipe into this and I'll try and replicate that with an actual pour over using a kettle, and we'll see which one is better. So yes, I'll be doing that video soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And I forgot to mention earlier, if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out, makes me more inspired to make more videos like this. I know a lot of you that are watching are not subscribed and you probably will swipe away from this video, but please don't. Please subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, do all of those things. Leave a comment down below. I love hearing from people. And if you've already got one of these machines, tell me how your experience has been. I'd like to hear about it. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.